And we're off for the the good day meditation for 26th day of October 2016. Here we go. There are 4 components now. I'm really excited about this new component, number 4, the rotten day forecast. Let's get to it. Of course, it's at the end. So here we go. So the 4 components are the affirmation of human rights, the 3 objectives, 7 principles, and the rotten day forecast. And just because I haven't said this in a while, this whole thing that I'm doing here, the Good Life meditation, this is something that I do every day. It's a meditation, an exercise that I do, a mental meditation to prepare myself for the day. I started doing this about, good gosh, it's probably been a year or more now that I started doing this. In the first half year or so, or more than that, I was just doing it in my head, largely on my motorcycle, as I'd ride to work, and I'd turn off any auditory, music or anything like that, and just sit there in the quiet of my helmet, talking to myself, literally out loud, talking to myself, preparing for the day. And I did that because I started this because I was going through a challenging period at work with some difficult projects that were causing me a lot of stress, and I was trying to prepare for the day it was literally a very targeted exercise just to get ready for the day. And then I noticed that it started to have an influence on me overall, that I was finding myself feeling more at peace. It was working. The challenges at work were definitely becoming more manageable. And then I noticed that that was extending to other aspects of life, just in general. Basically, I was getting better at withstanding, bearing through, and managing the emotions in many aspects of life. So I kept it up, and lo and behold, the exercise began to grow. It used to be that I could finish the whole darn thing in about 12 minutes. Now I'm up to about 25 minutes. And now with this rotten life forecast, it might take longer. Every time I add a piece to this, it grows in duration. And the other thing, the reason I do this the way I'm doing it on video, and the reason that I upload it, is that that's a discipline thing as well. I find that when I just do this in my head, I race through it. When I turn on the camera, I take it more seriously. When I know I'm going to upload it to YouTube, I really take it seriously. I guess I'm still subject to the interest of having an audience. Even though I don't expect that people will really watch this, I expect my viewership and my subscriber base to diminish greatly. So I just got a message telling me tomorrow's my day off. Yeah, I'm taking my daughter to get a root canal tomorrow, so pops up on the screen. So anyway, let's get on with it. Enough of the preamble. So the affirmation of human rights. Individuals must be protected from the efforts to improve the well-being of the group. I came across this one when I was kind of coming up with the idea of social good, the social principle, and I kept saying to myself that it would be best to pursue social good. And then I realized after a while that had a price to it, and it was only through thought exercise that I realized that I have no real power, so I can't actually, let me get that off the screen, I can't actually exercise any such thing and see the results. But in my mental exercise, I began to see that, and I came to realize that good systems of philosophy and society, you can say it that way, will take that into consideration. And so you see governments of various sorts codifying that with things like the Bill of Rights, the Magna Carta, things like that. That's all I want to say to that. Number 2, the second objective is the exercise of good emotional reaction. Good, no, I didn't say that right. I kind of lost my thought here. The exercise of good emotional response. To be able to like kind of like right now, I'm feeling flustered because I'm losing my train of thought, and I know the camera's running. I've lost my train of thought, and you can feel the emotion rising in me, which could make me even more flummoxed and you know, fall off to the wayside. But that's what this is all about, is recognizing that pre-passion just as it's rising, and you know, mastering it, and not running away with it, but keeping the course, getting myself back on track without getting all emotional and I think I said that right. Let's see how I get back on course here. 3, the third objective is the performance of good actions. It's just doing good things in accordance with the principles of your life. Now let's move on to the principles. The first is the atomic principle, which simply states that the universe is made of small bits and pieces that are forever flowing and changing, and that we are part of that, and that what we are will change over time. What we were yesterday is not what we are today, nor what we'll be tomorrow. What we will be tomorrow, and this should provide impetus to turn the camera on, grab the pen, dip the brush in the ink, get out the camera, take that snapshot, hop in the vehicle and get out to wherever it is you dream of going. Ask that girl or guy out for a date. Spend time with your kid. All these things. The atomic principle, is a sobering recognition of our brevity and the reality of transition. 2, the principle of nature. Everything and everyone has a particular nature, and we live better when we catalog the nature of things around us. We recognize what it is, and then live with appropriate expectation about how it should behave. Being ready to be surprised when our expectations are not in alignment with truth. And of course, recognizing the nature of others and ourselves, and living according to that nature. Like it is in my nature to do just what I'm doing right now, and it is in my nature to then post this to YouTube, despite the consequences. And I'm living according to that nature and exercising that. And I'll feel bad. This will be a good day to die for this video, for having made it, assuming I get to upload it before I die. If only to have a video to share with my daughter, a last video, what I wouldn't give to have a record of my dad's thoughts on the final day of his life. Very selfish thing, perspective, but hey, it's my channel. Next, the social principle. Human beings are social animals. We need one another, and our best ends are social ends. The most refined and concentrated form of virtue is found in pursuing the virtue of the well-being of the many. 4, temperance is the execution of controlled consumption. Recognizing the banquet, the feast, the buffet in front of us, and picking delicately with caution and restraint, allowing ourselves to continue to feel a bit of hunger, just to whet the appetite, to indulge to the point that we still want a little more, but are ready to use our will to restrain ourselves to stop. It's a complicated thing, and it's simple when we talk about things like food, drink. A little harder when you talk about things like work and play, and a little bit of a challenge with sex. Real challenge when it comes to emotions, because they sneak up on us. We think that they're inherent in us, but if we can exercise measured consumption of our emotions, which is a form of temperance, then we'll live a much better life. 5, the Great Indifference, what you find when you lift the veneer of society. It's very thin, very, very subtle. when you lift it and you see what's back there. But you won't really see it clearly unless you go to a place where there is no veneer. Like a very wild place. This light's not going to change. Huh? There we go, there we go. I'm waiting for the green light to let me get on the freeway. So it's going to get a little louder now. I'll speak up. That, like a real wild place, like the volcano wilderness or the deep water wilderness, where you go out there and there is no veneer to lift. It's flat out there before you. Now you can apply your own shellacking veneer if you like. It's like getting out a paintbrush full of varnish and, oh my gosh, here's this, looking out at the Great Indifference. Go 3 miles out from Siberia, northeast, into the wildlands there, and you'll run right into it. And you can bring with you your paintbrush of meaning and shellac the whole thing and say, you know, God's out there. This is all God's handiwork and finish, or the Great Spirit, or the universal soul, or whatever you want to call it. You know, some sort of a conscious, sentient oversight. Now you can say that's out there, but I'll say I don't believe you, and I'll challenge you to show me a good reason to think that what you're saying is true. And if you don't give me a good reason, then, and you're not obligated to give me a good reason, but I'll just persist in my position, my neutral position, that I don't see any reason to think that there is. I simply continue to look out at an empty wild, devoid of any oversight or guiding intelligence. And what that means is that 3 miles out in the deep water wilderness, if I want to have that in my life, if I want to have comfort and companionship and the helpful, intelligent interaction with other intelligences. Well, that sounds weird. Other intelligence, with other human beings, with other, you know what I mean. If I want to interact with others that care, then I have to turn around and march my way back to get in my car or hop on my motorcycle and come back here. Look for my wife, give her a hug, open the door, give her a hug, give her a kiss on the kiss, and say, "Hi, I'm home, I love you." And likewise to my daughter, and to those around me, my coworkers, my family, and the like. That's all it is. Great Indifference guides us back to where we really do have love and companionship, and where there really is true meaning in the shared objectives and shared values, and values that we share with others. 6, reason is the governing faculty. It's the force by which we look at the facts of the world and make sense of these, develop arguments that make predictions about how the world works. We then watch the world and see if it abides those predictions. And if not, then maybe something's wrong with our arguments, or maybe we don't have all the facts, or some of the facts our measurements may be wrong. We have to go back and start it over again. It's an iterative process by which we come to understand the world and the universe in a better way, little by little, marking our mistakes along the way, accepting the fact that our knowledge is forever incomplete, and moving forward. And finally, the 7th principle, virtue, which is the purpose of life. Virtue is I define virtue as the improvement in well-being of things that give a damn about being well. Like, I'm not too concerned about the well-being of rocks, although I am to the extent that if something as substantial as something as elemental as rocks, if their well-being isn't in good shape, then that probably won't be good for the rest of us. But I am concerned about the well-being of plants, animals, ecosystems, and the environment that sustains us. And I think that I can make objective observations about what promotes well-being. particularly with regard to our species. I think we can all pretty much agree that things like clean food and water, clean and plentiful food and water, abundant and affordable education, good public transport, effective communications, good international relations, that these things all contribute to the well-being of our species. Good laws that protect the rights of the individual, things like this. And then we pursue well-being by doing things that promote those. Like, I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a civil servant working to serve the community, where I live, and that even though I have a rather dull job, I take it very seriously, and I'm very proud of the things that I do because I'm contributing to the social good. I'm enjoying that refined, that social good. It's what my activities are social activities, my work activities. I'm not just as I was before, years ago, just working to enrich the shares, the wealth of the shareholders. I'm working to enrich the welfare, the well-being of the citizens of the community and residents of the community where I live. Boy, that feels good. So there you go. Wow, I made it through at 16 minutes. Now let's get on to the rotten day forecast. The rotten day forecast. Let me turn this down a little bit. I'll turn it off. Okay, this is only the second time to do this. Yesterday was hard because I decided to lead with the worst, and I'm going to do that again today. Although I'm ready for it now. Yesterday, when I said that my daughter would die, it was like being slapped in the face. You know, I couldn't. The sound of it coming out of my mouth. You know, it's the audacity, it's almost a horrifying thing to say. You shouldn't say things like that. You know, what if they come true? What if I'm speaking it into reality? You know, things like that. Or heaven forbid, you're just thinking about that. But the purpose of this is to lay out all the bad things that may happen today, to set my expectations. Because when we so often our disappointment comes when we due to our optimism, we believe things are going to work out better than they are, and we're so disappointed and upset when they don't. And by no means am I hoping that any of these things will happen. I hope today will be a great day for my family, my friends, my community, me, of course. And but if any of these do happen, I'm ready. For example, actually, before I say my daughter thing, let me begin with a simple one. I'm on the freeway right now, and I will encounter traffic soon that will make me late, and I'll be stuck in traffic. And someone's going to cut in front of me. Some really ridiculous driver is going to come racing up at 100 miles an hour, like I saw yesterday, zip up through the berm of the road there, the shoulder of the road, and go around traffic, endangering themselves and everyone around them. See, I'm not hoping any of that happen, but I'm ready. There's one right there. Guy just crossed 3 lanes of traffic without his blinker on, and to get to the right lane half a mile before he even needed to. It's not going to surprise me because I'm ready for it. I think that's the hardest thing about this, because I think that because I was once in my life conditioned to think that what we say the opposite, that what we speak into the world can become reality. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I have no reason to think that that's true. Let's continue. Okay, let's get on with the heavy stuff. My daughter will die today. So will my wife. And so will I. I'll die painfully. Maybe a clutching pain here in my chest as my heart begins to die, gives out. Moments before I black out and smothered with dark, and an eternal night sweeps over me. Ooh, that's about all I can handle on that part. Let's move on. I'm probably gonna get fired. I know I'm gonna get fired today. And I'm gonna make some really bad mistake at work. I work in a rather political environment. You have to be very careful, very PC. I'll probably say something inappropriate and get chat, and someone will complain to HR, and I'll get fired because of that, or I'll get laid off because of they won't need me anymore, and then I'm going to be thrown into the pool of the unemployed with a family to support and a $2,300 a month rent and unable to pay. And not to mention two car payments and all my debt. Yeah, that's going to happen today. Oh, not to mention I'm going to meet people and talk to people who are going to be kind of mean, rude, insensitive, maybe people who won't like the decisions that I'm making, either professionally or privately. We'll have something to say about that. I'm going to get tired during the course of the workday, probably around 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, especially after I have that meeting this afternoon from 2 to 3. It's always a bit of a challenge after that because I'm all alone at that remote office, and I want to be productive, but it's hard when I'm exhausted. That's going to be a challenge. So I want to be productive to the very end of the day, right up till 4:30. I'm done with the day. I feel like I'm dwelling a little bit too much detail on this. Really, maybe it'd be better just to keep this at a high level. Let me try a second pass at this, okay? Real high level. And fast. Although it kind of, I don't know, I think the detail actually, well, let me try the high level pass and see how that fits, and then look at back at the detail one and pick which one works better. So here we go. High level, from the beginning, rewind. Starting over, hit record. My daughter will die today. So will my wife. And so will I. I'm going to die painfully, with a few moments to experience the pain just before I blink out forever. People are going to cut me off on my way to work. I'm going to have a difficult drive. Maybe my car will break down. I get a flat tire, or I'll blow an engine. I'll get in an automobile wreck. I'll injure somebody else through my own reckless and selfish concern. I'll hurt somebody. Today I'm going to miss somebody who's in pain. I won't notice it in their face, and I'll walk by or I'll go by. I'll pass a homeless person on the street, and I'll tell myself it's just a scam. They're not really suffering, and I won't give them $1. I'll avert their eyes. I'll tell myself I've got problems of my own to attend to. And I will not be proud of myself for that. And I'll suffer later for that. And I'll worry about my own suffering, despite the fact that I've caused that by my neglect, that person continues to suffer and is probably laying somewhere out exposed in the colder night. Here I've devolved back into the details again, haven't I? I guess I can't avoid that. Anything else? Oh, I'll get flustered in a meeting. I go to the meetings. Every meeting, I take a few breaths, and I'm prepared to. As a project manager, I run a lot of meetings. and I'm always prepared to go in and play the part and run the meeting well, and always something goes wrong. And always my anxiety will rise. My anxiety will be there, and that's just the way it will be. And I'll make mistakes, and I'll be unworthy of my role. And I'll blow it as a father. I'll miss an opportunity to share with my daughter or teacher, or spend some time with her, or enjoy a laugh together. I'll be a bad husband. I'll neglect my wife. I won't look after her needs and my obligations to her. And likewise, my friends and community. I'll tell myself, you don't have any friends. You don't want any friends. And even though in a way that's true, it denies an important part of being a human being, which is to have friends. God, where am I going with this? I'm all over the place. This should be kind of I'm imagining it would be kind of a terse, compact recitation of a parade of terror, of all the terrible things that can happen, spoken in language that as things that would happen. There's something going on out there in the dark. I'll have to work on this. It's interesting, but I think I've had enough doom and gloom for this morning, so I'll turn this off, and there I am, 26 minutes again. Before I know it, I'm going to be at 30 minutes, and so be it. So be it. Let the parade of these videos march on. Because if I was to die today, I would hope it would happen after I upload this video, so that someday my daughter can see this and get an idea about what Dad thought about things. Because each one of these goes a little bit further. It increments along the way, and not like it's heading towards some predetermined base, but instead it's a refinement as I work on it along the way. An evolution of thought, an evolution of principles, an evolution of ideas. I hate to use the word philosophy, but I guess that too. An evolving personal philosophy. And here, at almost 28 minutes, I'm going to stop. I don't want to make it to 30. Okay, thank you for watching, if anybody who made it this far. And if Emily, if you watch this, Dad loves you. And hey, if Emily's kids watch this, they love you too, even though I don't know who you are. And thanks to anybody else who did too. Take care, everybody. Have a great life. Have a good life. Bye-bye. I gotta say just have a good life. It sounds anticlimactic to say have a great life, have a good life. You know what I mean. Take care. Bye-bye. Hit the button now.